Hoy there, it's Skyward Shield. Welcome to Football Talks. We are in the conference round. This is it, the finals to determine who will represent which conference in the Super Bowl. I'm joined by Bill. Say hello, Bill.
Oh my god!
Alright, so we are going to start a little different. We're not going to talk about the Saturday games yet, just because they were the better ones. I'd rather get the not the ugliest. This wasn't a bad game. If you were a Carolina fan, you absolutely loved this game, though you had real no reason to watch after the second half. But the Seahawks tried to make a comeback like they did last time, but it didn't work. Carolina just did enough on defense to hold them at bay, and at the end it was 31-24 in the favor of Carolina. They put they put off the gas on offense, and honestly, it's kind of bad that they didn't. If they just put up any, like, at least even a field goal, it would have just sealed any hope the Seahawks would have had. Because for a while Seattle actually had some momentum going, but they just couldn't keep it, especially when they did a fake punt that succeeded. But after that, they just lost everything.
Yep.
What do you think, Bill, about Seattle in particular, since they're done?
Well, I feel like Seattle still is built for the next few years to be a contender. I still think that they're missing a few pieces on defense, and I feel like they're missing a few pieces on the offensive line after they traded Unger to the New Orleans Saints. That offensive line looked like they were lost. And it sort of showed in the playoff game. Russell Wilson was running for his life most of the game. In fact, really, one of those scrambling touchdowns in the second half that he got was because he was scrambling around and running for his life. It They need offensive line help to make sure that Russell Wilson doesn't get killed.
Honestly, they have two options, which I'll get this out of the way now. I am 80% sure, just like with Foster, that Marshawn Lynch is going to go. Unless he takes an extreme pay cut or just says, I'm retiring next season, then I think Seattle will only keep him because it's his retirement year. He's going to go. So let's honor it. Maybe. Maybe. But I don't know. What do you think, Bill? Do you think he's gonna get cut or retire or say next year is his final year? Because I honestly think he might have one more year in the tank at most for a few games.
Uh, hmm. I think, I think what Marshawn's going to do is, I personally think that he's going to retire.
Right away or retire after one more season?
I think he's gonna retire right away.
Ooh.
And he was hemming and hawing coming back this year, and he was injured for most of the year. He didn't play a lot, and when he did play, they sort of were splitting carries. It wasn't the old Marshawn Lynch that we were used to seeing.
He's
He's been in the league for a while. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he retires on uh on CL.
I don't know. I'd rather he retire or just say I want to be one more year before he retires so he can go out with some dignity. Though, I mean, we want that. We want to believe that for other players like uh, what's his name? The one of Baltimore, Steve
Um,
Smith. I knew his last name was
yeah.
Smith. Honestly, though, with his injury, I'm like, can he even come back and be as feisty as he was last or this like that this season? But
I mean,
what are you gonna say, Bill?
I mean, I think Marshawn has that drive, but I don't know if he wants to put himself through that again this year. It's like Steve Smith. He doesn't want to go out like he did because he's got that drive to be the best, and to not go out hurt. he's gonna go out how he wants to go out, and he wants to go out and play, you know, the really, really, injury free. And I admire that. I just don't know if he'll be able to stay injury free.
That
Same with Marshawn.
that's true.
Marshawn's been in the league for 10 years. He's a running back. He's taken a lot of beatings. I mean, he might not have another year where he doesn't get hit as bad.
Yeah. Honestly, I think he's done if he doesn't retire. Like you think he's gonna get cut from Seattle? I think 80 about I'm about as certain as it. And apparently Foster, as soon as we just mentioned him, he's very likely going to go. According there are sources saying he will be cut, and so I'm thinking probably in the end of this week you'll hear sources from Seattle side saying, "Oh, Marshawn Lynch will be cut if he doesn't want to retire yet." Unfortunate, but yes. Anyway, as for the rest of Seattle, I agree with what you're saying, Bill, but I'm not sure what they would draft first. Probably either a running back or a center, because I think that's all they
Uh,
really. That maybe a defensive end to go along with Bennett, the craziest defensive end I've seen. Not the good kind of crazy, the stupid kind of crazy. But you remember we've talked about that quote. We talked about the Stafford quote already. I don't think we need to bring it up again. But anyway, Bill,
right.
let's talk about the other team, the one that won, Carolina. How do you think they did, Bill? How would you grade
Th-
this?
I would have graded this a B plus, and here's why I gave it a B plus and not an A or an A minus. They came out and played an A plus type first half. They just dominated every phase of the game in the first half. And then they flipped that switch, they turned it off, and they didn't play with any intensity, no drive, no caring. They just flipped that switch and they're like, "Oh, we got CL beat." And CL showed the heart of a champion to come back. They they do this thing, and the reason why I gave them a B plus is literally that second half was a D plus effort, and they were lucky that they had just enough points to win because they didn't deserve to win in that second half. They did not deserve to win. They showed no fight. They showed nothing. And the perfect thing was what Greg Olson said. He goes, "We have got to come out here and play better in the second half." Right after the game, he goes, "We have to play better in the second half. There's no reason why teams are coming back on us." And he is dang right.
Yep, he let the Giants come back. They've let the Colts come back. They've won those, but I think it was because at the end of the day, those two teams were bad. Seattle wasn't a bad team. I just think they got lucky because Seattle itself was their own problem. You know what I mean?
Yep,
They weren't just
I agree.
they were just not playing as well as they did when they started the second half. That they kept that momentum going. I don't want to say Seattle would win, but at the very least, Bill, your prediction of an overtime game would have happened here. I think you picked Carolina having the overtime win instead of Arizona. Arizona was the one that had overtime, but really it was just an extra minute. But we'll get to that later. So we've seen the best of the worst of from Carolina, and these two teams. I'll try to bring this up if I remember when we talk Arizona. But some teams who came out of the bye, some came out good and some didn't. Everyone says
Yep.
the Cardinals didn't, but when I see the second half, I'm thinking Carolina didn't too. I think they took a little too much rest here. They did not. They played great from the start and then they stopped. But if they do that against someone like the Patriots will capitalize. And with the way Tom Brady played on Saturday, oh, they most certainly will.
Yep. I mean, Carolina needs to play a full game. They haven't played a full game in a month. They need to play a full game
They're
because
they're used to
if
crushing teams. They haven't played
it
many games where they've been going back and forth. The last one I think that happened in was against the Saints.
right. If they don't play a full game, they're going to lose.
Yeah.
That's just that's just the fact of the matter right there.
I think if the Saints were a little better of a team and didn't draw so many flags because they had the worst cornerback in Browner, they who knows? Maybe the Cardinals would be the first seed because remember had the Panthers lost in the game, the Cardinals would have tried to crush the Seahawks in their final game because they would have had an opportunity to take it all.
Right.
So that's just the thing worth noting. Anyway, anything else to say about this? Because Cam Newton is already guaranteed the MVP, but this just made it better for him in a way.
I mean, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
I think it's sealed already. I think it's been sealed for a while, but anyway, um, the only thing worth pointing out for the Panthers is that I just don't trust some of their wide receivers.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly Jonathan Stewart, somewhat Greg Olson because he's a tight end, um,
Yep.
and Cam Newton's legs. That's what's kept that's the entire offense. Cause without Ted Ginn Jr., that's it. I mean, with Ted Ginn Jr., I think they're much better.
Yep.
He's not Gronkowski. He's not their Gronkowski. He's not their essential piece. Because I think that is Greg Olson. Because they can win
Yes.
without Jonathan Stewart, but I don't know if they could win without Greg Olson. But
No.
anyway, I think we can move on to the next game. This game was actually more close in a way. This kind of went back and forth for a little bit. At the start, Denver was going up. It was 6-0, and I was hoping, really hopeful, that I'd get my ugly score win. On the morning of Saturday, I was like, you know what? I'd really love uh, Pittsburgh and Denver's games to be an ugly score. I was hoping 9-5. But then Pittsburgh scored a touchdown. Like, I don't fucking care anymore. Just Denver take care of them. And sure enough, they did. But for a while, Pittsburgh had some momentum going. They took control, and Peyton Manning played okay. He didn't make any mistakes though. And if he did, I think Pittsburgh might have capitalized. They always capitalize on turnovers if they ever get one.
Right.
But this was the game that showed without Antonio Brown, they could not persevere. I Seeing as how good Pittsburgh tried to put up a fight against this good defense, it made me think: had they had Antonio Brown, do you think they would have won, Bill? I think they might have because I think the final drive it showed had Antonio Brown been there, I think he would have made a play.
I think if they had Antonio Brown, they would have probably played defense differently. And I feel like maybe maybe Pittsburgh might have gotten a little too pass happy to Antonio, which might also have affected the game. I mean, Ben seems to like to throw the football to Antonio Brown a lot,
He
and
makes a lot of the plays. That's why.
yeah, he makes plays, but you can roll coverage where you can try to jump routes and things like that
Yeah.
on Antonio Brown. Whereas with this, they had to be more balanced. And that was actually more dangerous for Denver because Roethlisberger is a cagey veteran. If he doesn't have his best wide receiver, now he's throwing it to whoever the heck he wants. Martavis Bryant, you know. I mean, there's a lot of options. Heath Miller. He had Toussaint in the back, out of the backfield. You know, he had a lot of options. Whereas if it's Antonio Brown, it'll be Antonio Brown, and maybe Martavis, and maybe Toussaint. This forced them to play a very even game.
Yeah. I I will say the defense surprisingly played better. I think for Pittsburgh, and I thought that would have been their Achilles heel. I mean, because when Peyton got some passes against them to like say Demarius Thomas, Thomas made him pay. It usually got first downs for them. It
Yep.
seems Peyton is or Demarius Thomas is better when Peyton plays because he throws the ball to him more, whereas Brock Osweiler
Brock.
tends to throw it to Owen Daniels and to Emmanuel Sanders more. I think it's a
Yeah.
preference thing because I think without Peyton, Thomas ain't much of a threat. Remember, when the Broncos beat the Patriots, how many times did he? Wait, I'll be back.
Well, Demarius Thomas about Peyton Manning being his better quarterback for him.
Yes, that's what I was saying because I remember in the Patriots game, Demaryius Thomas I think got targeted 3 to 5 times, but only one catch. It was the most important catch of the game because it ultimately helped Denver win and take the game overtime. But that was it. Just one catch he got. 5 targets, but with Peyton, he'll target Demaryius Thomas more, and Demaryius Thomas is that threat that he was marketed to be. You know, when everyone's like saying, could the Broncos keep him? And like, yes.
Right.
Well, with Peyton there, yes. With Brock Osweiler, I'm not sure if he's worth keeping because Brock doesn't have a connection with him yet. That could change over the off
Over.
season, but right now, Peyton needs to be there for him.
Yep.
But surprisingly, Bill, the defense for the Broncos played okay. I mean, they're playing against a good quarterback, injured, but he's still good with Pittsburgh, and it has to go with what you said that he chose other people. I think there's a tight end for Pittsburgh whose name escapes me, who I think got a little more of the ball today or yesterday.
Heath Miller.
I think that's his name. I don't know.
Huh.
It was another name that reminded me of another player because they had the same last name, though they weren't
Oh.
related, of course. I don't remember. Oh well, it's fine. Anyway, so
Right.
Denver's defense did pull through in the end, helping them. But here's what I wonder: with the way the Patriots play, which we're going to talk about them next, are the Broncos going to do it? Can the Broncos beat the Patriots? Because Bill, you know what we're getting now because Peyton won and Brady won. What does it come down to? One more time.
Brady versus Manning.
17, round 17.
Yep.
You had an
Round
interesting stat to
17.
tell me
Fight.
about. You had an interesting stat to tell me about, Bill, about the winners and losers of each encounter, about whoever played at home won how many times, or how many games
Oh,
have they lost when they how many games they lost when they were at home, Brady and
who?
Peyton, when they play each
Uh,
other when they're at home, how many times have they lost to the other?
uh, they've lost. I don't remember.
You've told me none. They
Yeah,
apparently have. They've never lost
I'm
at
pretty.
home.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So if that's the case, you would think Peyton's the favorite. But I don't think so now. I don't know. I don't believe that will be the case.
I just. Here's the thing. In the game, Denver and Pittsburgh were fighting what I was calling that game the injured reserve bowl right there,
Hmm.
because literally it was a bunch of the players on both teams were hurt. Oh man, I mean literally almost the defensive coordinator got taken out for Denver in the game. Wade Phillips.
That's
Wade Phillips
ironic.
got
What? Just
Wade
say what
Phillips
happened.
he got ran over by Martavis Bryant on the sideline.
Yeah, and you know what's ironic? The last time, remember, in 2013, the last year, Gary Kubiak was coach and Wade Phillips was the defensive coordinator. What happened? Kubiak got collapsed due to something. I forget what it was. But now this time it
Heart
was
issue.
the other way around. Now Wade Phillips got decked by Pittsburgh.
Yep,
Dirty, dirty
Martavis.
players.
Oh man, uh, and it wasn't like he ran into him barely. He shouldered him down, and Wade Phillips took a shot and he got right back up and called a game. He's a trooper, man. He's a trooper. But I mean, seriously, it just shows that the Denver Broncos and Pittsburgh Steelers, whoever plays New England, is going to be banged up, while New England got healthy. But we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that Patriots will have trouble. I'm not gonna say it's easy. It's gonna be easy, at least on offense. It's the
Right.
defense that makes me worry because I guess let's transition to it, and I'll get the injuries out of the way before we talk about the main game. Because Collins is hurt, and I forget the other guy. What was his name?
Dante Hightower.
No, Hightower played. I'm like, honestly, Hightower is their crux to their defense because he makes all the play calls on defense.
Yep.
So it makes him essential, in my opinion.
Yep.
But they won't know about him and Chandler Jones until Wednesday.
Chandler.
We won't know. So at the time of this recording, we don't know. And by the time this goes up, you will know. The viewers could know. So that's a thing, and I'm hoping they'll be fine at least for the Super Bowl because I think the Patriots, at least as long as Hightower is still in the field, being okay, they can pull through.
Right. Yeah.
But when it comes to the Super Bowl, they'll have a week off. They'll have essentially a week off to get to rest up. So what happens then? Well, if they play, I think their defense will be much better and be ready to can win a Super Bowl against either the Cardinals or the Panthers.
Right. Yeah.
But until then, let's talk about this game. There are two types of people watching this game. Those hoping, the Patriots fans, myself included, hoping Tom Brady will come out of the gates and tear up this defense because he has all his weapons. He has Edelman, Amendola, and Gronkowski. The three essential pieces. These are the cruxes to his. There is Horcruxes. I think that's what they called it from Harry Potter to make a reference to that. Rest in peace, Snape.
Right.
But on the other side, you have people not just Chiefs fans, but also Brady haters and New England Patriots haters, hoping that the Chiefs would pull an upset and do it because their defense is staunch and nothing can break it. Oh, that's not true. I think an elite QB who's at his prime could do it. I mean, even back when they were, when they were starting their spiral, even when the Chiefs played the Packers, Aaron Rodgers, that's what they, Aaron Rodgers was playing great at the beginning of the season. He tore them up. A good quarterback
Right.
who knows a thing or two about dealing with bad defenses can tear them up. So they're not invincible. They played mostly scrub teams.
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, yes, they won 12 in a row essentially, and that's great. That's good for them. But who was the most dangerous one they played? I mean, had they beat someone who was a serious contender like Cincinnati, I think I might have changed my opinion about them. But no, they mostly played
Right.
what? The best team was a Ben Roethlisberger-less Steelers. That's what they played. That's such a threat. No, I don't.
They played.
What?
They just absolutely annihilated freaking Detroit.
Yeah, that's what turned it around when Detroit was the first victim. They were the spark.
Yep.
But anyway, to this game, New England came out of the gates, got a touchdown right away to Gronkowski. Because Gronk, even people are wondering if he's okay. I think he's just fine. He did what he needed to do. And I'm so glad Edelman's back in there. He missed some balls. He had to shake off the rust, but I think it's mostly shaken off now. If it doesn't bother him when he starts the game against the Denver Broncos, I think they'll be fine. But we'll be talking about our picks later. But the Chiefs, man, I think this was this showed Alex Smith could not connect to anyone. Sure, when he connected, they were good. But other than that, for just his other normal plays, and especially his deep throws, he cannot get the deep throws for the life of him. He's gotten how many?
Not many.
Not that many. I mean, honestly, if I could remember them, I bet we can count them in our hands. How many times he's gotten a 30-yard plus pass. If you want to be easier, 20 plus yards, and that's still not going to add that much. He could not connect,
Right.
and plus, here's been the benefit. Here's been why I think the Chiefs won. Kind of got a hint about this, but basically the Chiefs have this thing. They did what the Cowboys would do. They run the ball, drain the clock, and put up points. It leaves the other team little time to catch up, unless they're a team like the Patriots who can score in less than a minute. They have to be a high-powered offense to match and that can go through the good defense. But in the end, the Patriots turned it around on them. They turned their strength into their biggest problem.
Yep.
When they were trying to come back, because if you just saw the score, you would think this game came to the very end or something. No, the Patriots just had the lead and never looked back. They kept holding the Chiefs to field goals, and the Chiefs had many times where they were in Patriots territory at the beginning of the game, but could not do anything. They could not convert. They only got field goals, or they had to punt because they could not go past the 50-yard line for some reason. After they crossed that, they were unsure what to do. And top of that, that's not even mentioning Andy Reid's terrible play calling, or clock management, I should say. It just further added to what I said. Their best weakness, their best strength of putting up points but draining the clock, so it really puts pressure on the other team. Against a cool-minded team like the Patriots, it was nothing. They turned it on their own head. It turned it on its head and made the Chiefs regret it. Because why are you going in a huddle to call a play and snapping the ball when there's 5 seconds of the play clock under 5 minutes and especially under 2 minutes? The Chiefs had very little time to work with, and it was their own fault. It wasn't like the Patriots ran the ball. The Patriots ran the ball 7 times. For the first 14 plays on offense, the Patriots threw the ball. Short passes, intermediate passes, a couple long passes. It's amazing how the Patriots made the work mincemeat out of them. And by the way, Keyshawn Martin, who was traded to New England from Houston, got signed to an extension, and he proved his worth. Caught a deep pass, ran for like 20 to 30 more yards after he caught it. Great shit.
Yep.
He's better in New England than he is in Houston, but to be fair, almost any player can be better in New England if they can fit their scheme.
And you have a Hall of Fame quarterback thrown to you. You know, I mean, it's. But overall, I felt like the game was won by Tom Brady getting rid of the football like crazy fast. He was getting the football out of his hands like almost immediately, and really no defense can play against that. It's basically unbeatable. You know,
Yeah.
that's sort of what made
They
Aaron
have to
Rodgers
anticipate
impact.
where he goes or where he throws.
Yes.
And that's hard. That's hard to do. Especially when you have Gronk, Edelman, and Amendola, because there's plenty. Or you could just throw to his running backs. You don't know what he can do.
Exactly. And they have so many different plays off the same look. And that's what's killer about it. They get into a rhythm and they go really fast, and you can't stop what they're doing because here's the issue is that they have so many different short passes off of one look. If it's a trips to the right, they could have a bunch of curl routes. They could have one that's a go route down the seam. It's the possibilities are endless, and you got to try to game plan for a Hall of Fame quarterback that can read a defense and wide receivers that are smartly making the right reads and doing the right thing.
Yep. There's another thing I was gonna say. Brady tried to run one in for a touchdown. Honestly, and I look at the review, when he hit the pylon with his hip, the ball was already in, so it should have been a touchdown. But what does he do? Quarterback sneak. How did the Chiefs not even try to block the middle so he would be forced to give it to somebody to run it in from the sides instead? It was
And
surprising.
that's all he does. He always quarterback sneaks. You know that if he's at the one, he's gonna either quarterback sneak or he's gonna hand it off to Steven Jackson or it's gonna be a quick pass.
Yeah.
There you go.
The only other quarterbacks I know that usually do that are, I think, just Aaron Rodgers, maybe Stafford.
Maybe Cam.
Yeah, Cam will just run it from 5 yards in. He'll run it from anywhere.
I mean,
I'm not
yeah.
counting the mobile quarterbacks who do the read option all the time, like him and Alex Smith.
Oh, okay.
You know, I'm talking. I mean, Aaron Rodgers can move, but he's a pocket passer first, technically.
Yeah. I mean, I
It seems
wouldn't
to
say
be
that
an
is
NFC
accurate.
North quarterback type of thing because I think Bridgewater might do it too.
Yeah,
I've seen Stafford do it
Bridgewater.
at least twice. He did it once against the he did it once against the 49ers the week second second to last week of this season. Remember he
Yep.
did that. But yeah. And, but anyway, so Brady's just fucking winning because he wants to win the Super Bowl, get in a category of his own, and stick it to Goodell. I really want him to win the Super Bowl so he could stick it to Goodell and the NFL as a whole. Like, you tried to suspend me, I proved you wrong, and I came here to win and shut all of you up. If I'm a
The
cheater.
NFL is
Oh,
not.
what?
The NFL doesn't want to see Tom Brady on that podium.
They want to see Aaron Rodgers. They want to see Big Ben. They want to see Tony Romo because those are the three teams that bring them a lot of money. Hell, even Russell Wilson's Seahawks, because Russell Wilson's become kind of an emerging star, just like Cam now is right now this year. You know what I mean? They want
Right.
those teams that have iconic players, like the LeBron James of their team, basically. Or hell, even the Giants too, because of Odell Beckham Jr.
Right.
So I really don't like that. Like I really don't like how Goodell is. I honestly I don't even like that he's still there. I wish he were gone, but it would take another severe incident that it's hard to recuperate from to get around it. But who knows when that'll happen. But
Right.
yes, I really want Brady to stick it to him. And honestly, if he wins, I really want him to mention Deflategate and just say, I had people try to prevent me from coming into the game. Not directly say Goodell that there are people who didn't want me to play anymore, and, and then I win anyway. Just stick it to them. I really want him to do it. But yeah, other than that, Bill, they passed the ball way too many times. It's going to be hard to see what it's going to be hard to see what happens when they run. I mean, true. You always hear NFL media analysts say good teams know how to run the football, but the Patriots are just why the fuck you lying? That's what all they say to them. They don't care. They can
Right.
win. They could run the ball the whole way through if they have the running backs like LeGarrette Blunt, or they could just pass the ball all day down your throat and you can't even do anything about it either. It's just wrecked. All right, Bill.
Right.
Shall we move on to the best game of the week?
Yep.
All right, Green Bay, Arizona. This was one game that looked like it would be a blowout, but the Packers were playing to survive. They were kicking and screaming, because they knew they knew if the Cardinals played like they did in Week 16, they're done. So they had to pull all the stops, do all of their best moves. They had to waste all their best moves on them now, and it worked for a while. They kept things close with the Cardinals, had a lead above them, but the Cardinals in the fourth quarter, because the Cardinals had an ugly start. They were not clicking on offense, and their defense sometimes was just exposed. But you know what? The Packers could not convert some touchdowns. They had to settle for a couple field goals, and ultimately, the Cardinals woke up and they play great in the fourth quarter when when the game was on the line. They've done this many times where teams they should beat they have trouble with, like the Vikings. They did it against the Ravens. They did it against the Bengals, who were a great team when Andy Dalton was there. So it's fascinating. But let mention the what happened, Bill. Bill, that was by far one of the best games I've ever seen. And to those that don't know, there are videos on it on the NFL YouTube, so I would go suggest you check that shit out. But basically, Aaron Rodgers did it again. He did it, and that's because everyone was saying, "Oh, remember what he did to the Detroit Lions? He got a Hail Mary on them because Aaron Rodgers is the greatest quarterback that ever lived." The cocksucking was extremely high with Al and Chris about him because the whole NFL media loves Rodgers. But anyway, he basically threw two Hail Marys. It was one, he got one from around like midfield, but before that he was in his own end zone and threw it about 50 to 60 yards. So he did two Hail Marys in a row, essentially, I'd call it.
Oh,
And I think the
jeez.
first one was better, considering he threw it, I think, much far. He had to throw it farther. I think it was a
Right.
farther and harder throw, and got it on the money. But then you got the second one. The game got tied. Honestly, I thought the ball. I thought it shouldn't. I should have been called incomplete because he did not maintain possession of the ball when he hit the
Right.
ground. But like I said, the NFL loves the Packers. They try to keep him in this, but there was bad officiating on Saturday. Between both days, Saturday's officiating was the worst. To be fair, at least on the first game, they were bad to the Patriots and the Chiefs. But
Yeah.
this one, they were bad. They were just. I think they did things that were in favor for Green Bay a little more, to some extent.
Oh yeah.
They
It,
what?
it's always for Green Bay. If God forbid that if Jordy Nelson gets touched, and then he'll fall over and he'll be like, "Oh my God, I was pass interfered with." And
He's
then
like a
they'll throw
soccer
the flag.
player. He's like a soccer player who trips himself, so the other guy will get a yellow card, and
Exactly.
he'll get it.
Ex- The whole Green Bay team's like that. It's sickening to watch. To be fair.
Yeah, honestly, you haven't even seen what I mentioned about. I'm gonna take you through a little journey on how I was tweeting through this. It's kind of embarrassing now that I look about it. I would look at it. Oh, by the way, this was from earlier, but you should have seen the Bengals players that were so happy when the Steelers lost. The bloodbath is real. Like, I think we can get rid of the Ravens bloodbath because they're not playing well. We could turn around, but for now, I think the Steelers Bengals is the new bloodbath. Bill, we have to address it starting next year, unless the Ravens say otherwise.
It could be. It could very well could be. Both teams don't like each other very much.
No, they don't like each other, especially this year because of that game. But anyway, so I'm going to take you on a journey. As I'm mentioning what happens, let's start. Because first, before this happened, because Rodgers got sacked earlier in the final moments before the end of the quarter, before he started throwing the two Hail Marys. They got set quickly, and he threw from his own end zone, and I was just so happy because he got basically sacked by his own lineman. But there was a throw that they missed, and the Packers player were like, "I want a flag." It's like, well, I was like, okay, I'll say if that were Jordy Nelson there, he'd get a flag. Always does. Rodgers does a fake spike, tries to get something, and yet here's what bothered me, Bill. When you were talking about how they never helped them, how the refs always helped them, there should have been a flag for I think it was illegal formation. No, there should or a false start. There should have been a 10-second runoff, but they said, "Oh, we don't need to put a 10-second runoff." They should have because it would have forced them to go for a Hail Mary right away.
Right.
And right when they're building up to talking about this, or for the Hail Mary, they build up about Detroit. Like, oh, you got the Hail Mary in Detroit because he's the greatest quarterback. And now, I'm like, here's how I was when the Hail Mary happened. And these are all quotes from me, and all caps, by the way. Son of a bitch, again? God fucking damn it. And the cockstroking of Rodgers continues. No, it's not. He let it go. If you give him the catch despite him doing something like Dez and losing control when he hit the ground, I'm telling you, if they do that, the NFL really wants the Packers to go to the Super Bowl. God fucking damn it, they let it count. And miss, goddammit, choke again. Because remember, Bill, their kicker misses some extra points. He did it against Detroit when they lost in Lambeau, and that's what ultimately fucked them over against the Lions. And of course, he didn't get it.
Yep.
But Bill, here's where things got interesting. Right from the get-go, it shows more drama with the refs. Because I'm calling it, Bill, because the Packers are super salty about this. Like, oh, our franchise is so pained. We haven't won a Super Bowl since we beat the Steelers about a decade ago. Bill, that's so sad, right?
Whine, cry me a river. We haven't even been to a Super Bowl since the Super Bowl's been a thing.
Packers fans are
That's
so
50
spoiled,
years.
man. But seriously, I was like, well, we're so sad we can't win a playoff game anymore because we can't even get a coin toss our way. CoinGate, hashtag CoinGate, it'll happen.
Oh,
It didn't
oh
flip.
God.
That
It
should be
didn't flip.
Bill. That's gonna be the name of a movie, CoinGate, and the little subtitle: "It didn't flip. It didn't flip. It didn't flip." Uh,
Starring Kiefer Sutherland as Aaron Rodgers.
so I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna read you another tweet. A couple other
Oh
tweets.
God.
Mine. If the Cardinals win because of this, Packers fans are totally going to make CoinGate happen. Hashtag CoinGate. Another a YouTuber who is a sports YouTuber I'm subscribed to, Moonlight Swami. Imagine the coin not flipping for the final division tiebreaker.
Ooh.
You know when you decide when you decide a you know the tiebreaker rules for deciding who wins the champion or like who gets a priority either over a seed or who wins the division. That. What if that happened on the absolute last one? You have to go through all
Oh.
those 6 or 7 steps, then the final step. Oh, we flip, and it just doesn't. It doesn't flip. Oh boy, I would be so upset if I were the other team that didn't get that. Now here's another one. This is from at Jeff Howie. It's one of the Patriots beat reporters. Today's officiating crews can't even get through coin tosses without pooing themselves. I can't wait to see what they've got for us tomorrow. Because like, well, they're bad. But
Yeah.
all right, so enough. I when we saw now let's mention what happened. First play off the out of the in overtime, Bill. I want you to say what happened. Just I'll let you get this one.
The
You get the best part.
the the first play, which I was jumping up and down and yelling at about 11 o'clock at night, was a pass that Carson Palmer basically had to run for his life. He was running for his life. They came after him. He runs into his own offensive lineman, spins off of his own offensive lineman, and throws back across his body, which is never a good idea. Throws it all the way back across to a wide open Larry Fitzgerald.
I'm going to cut you there for a second, Bill. To put how open he was at least 10 yards apart in radius from the next Packers player. From anywhere. Linebacker, cornerback, any of those types. From anyone. Anyone wearing a freaking yellow, like cheese yellow helmet. 10 yards minimum in the field. But continue. Continue.
So Larry Fitzgerald gets the catch, and he starts running, and he's galloping across midfield. And he's running, and then the crowd starts jumping to their feet, and he keeps going, and he jukes some people and makes a miss, and gets down to the 5-yard line with a game-saving tackle by a Green Bay Packer defensive player.
Alright, Bill. Before you get to the end, I was like, okay, there was one of the NFL media guy who there's a podcast I listen to. He's like, give just for all 4 plays, give the ball to Fitzgerald. He'll get it sooner or later. I was like, I agree. Just toss the ball to him like a running back. I didn't have time to tweet it because I was just so caught up in the ball. But I was like you, Bill, just like holy shit, go. I was just excited, just because it's like, are they gonna give the Packers the most brutal loss again? Are they gonna make them suffer again? Just so happy.
So,
Though, let's be fair, this will never be as bad as last year's when they just blew it. They outright blew the Seattle game. They had it, but they blew it. But
the fun thing is that Green Bay still thought they had a chance. So on first down, they throw the football to Larry Fitzgerald, but it's just out of his grasp.
I think he overshot it.
He barely missed it. And to be fair, he could have came down with that football.
Yeah.
You know, it was right off of his fingertips. I mean, it was doable, but the play that me as a Lions fan loves to see happened on second down. They set it up like they're going to do something like a toss play to the right. And then they shovel pass it right up the middle to guess who?
Larry Fitzgerald.
Larry Fitzgerald. And the place explodes in happiness. And I explode in happiness because goodbye, all NFC North teams. You're all out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Arizona. Thank you for winning. Again, Aaron Rodgers is the most overhyped quarterback in the NFL. He hasn't won more than one Super Bowl. He's not been to more than one Super Bowl. He's overhyped, and it's time to say it. I don't think he's ever getting back to another Super Bowl.
I think their best chance is when they have a better defense. Like, I swear, I get the feeling they're gonna draft a wide receiver in the like they're gonna pull off a Colts when they've got enough weapons on offense to be a legit contender. Well, that's counting if Eddie Lacy loses more weight, because sure, he had a big run, but to be fair, the Cardinals forgot how to tackle for 10 minutes.
The pun right there, big.
Yeah.
Run.
But anyway, so if they seriously go for another offensive player, I'm like, okay, I'm convinced they are not winning another Super Bowl for the next two drafts. They have to draft some defensive player, whether he's not top tier or just a late round pick. You have to take one and bet on him, because Julius Peppers is going to have to go soon, and you can't rely on him until there's nothing in the tank. And what do you have on secondary? What, just Sam Shields? Where's your other linebacker to complement Clay Matthews? Where's an actual defensive end? Where's a nose tackle? Where's your safeties? They don't have anything on defense that's a real legit threat, except for what, Clay Matthews and Julius Peppers, if he is able to break through a tackle from an offensive lineman. I don't know. So yeah, I don't know about their defense. Why I would agree with you, but it just depends on what they do, because they need help, because they're the NFC Indianapolis Colts, always dominating their division, always having the franchise quarterback just fall into their laps. Even when they have a good one, they draft another one. Remember, they both do the same things. They had Favre and they chose to draft Rodgers. The Colts just stopped believing and caring about Peyton, so they draft Andrew Luck. They're very similar when you think about it, and their mentalities, all offense. All we need is a legit offense to complement our perfect quarterback. Offensive lineman, he'll be fine. He could just run around the pocket. Running backs, we could just get an old guy or a fat guy in this case to do it. Defense, who needs defense? You just need a seriously good quarterback and good wide receivers, and that's all you need.
Right.
So yeah, they're very similar to prove that point. But I just want to talk about Larry Fitzgerald, because Bill, remember last year people were saying, oh, he should get cut. He doesn't have anything left in the tank. He's not not make any more big plays. He's too old. He can't run fast. And what happens? This game, he just stick to all the haters from last year, just the people who didn't want him, who wanted him to retire.
171 yards later, he shuts up all his critics and, oh, Larry, you're doing so great. You're the best wide receiver in the NFL, one of them. Oh my God, you're doing great. Oh, geez. He was injured for the last 2 or 3 years. Guess what? You know, when you're injured, you're not going to have the exact same production. He's still a great wide receiver, and literally, I would take him on my team any day of the week.
I would too. He's still good. He's so good, but I think that the combination of him, or then John Brown, you have and then David Johnson at the running back. I think they're good. They're a really balanced offense who could explode. They do explosive plays, and that run he did was proof of that. He could have ran all the way. I think he should have. If that makes sense. He could have. I think he moved a little too late when he tried to juke to the left to avoid that guy that was on the floor that grabbed him. If he did it like a split second sooner, he might have taken it in for the score, and it would have been it. I honestly wish he got a Gatorade bath just because he was the hero. He was the hero. Because ultimately, Carson Palmer did not have a good game. He made some mistakes, most of them near his own end zone or in the end zone. He threw a pick in the end zone, and I thought the game was done for them. But the Packers just slipped it up again. They didn't choke as bad. They didn't choke because they tied the game. They basically got two Hail Marys in a row. So honestly, I can't say the Packers. The Packers were only in this because the Cardinals were playing so bad for a while, and that's where people think that they're worried. But and say, oh, the Cardinals are going to blow it because they did not do good in this last game. Therefore, they will not keep. They will do the same thing next week. Football is very unpredictable, as I've come to learn. We try to predict where these go. We all do because we want to see if we're right and if we can predict how these things can go in our favor or against us. But
Right.
I need to remind you two things. Everyone was saying things like, "Oh, the Panthers should just steamroll every team like 50-0, and Cam will rest at the third quarter." This was during the end of the season. What happened in Atlanta? Atlanta kept up with them. They played all they had on him, and they beat him, and they lost their game. The people saying the Patriots, oh, they're done. They can't do anything, even if they get Edelman and Amendola back. Brady has a bad offensive line. Brady can't throw the ball quick enough. He's not going to do anything. The Patriots are doomed because they just lost to the Jets and the Dolphins. What happens against the Chiefs? They just dissect the Chiefs' defense, crushing them. So I'm like, I don't want to say the same thing for the Cardinals just yet because they could very well have figured it out, and this was probably a wake-up call to get their act together because now they're one step away from the Super Bowl, which they should have been at last year too. They shouldn't have lost Carson Palmer, and they should have gone all the way because if they had him, I think they very much could have. They could have beat Seattle, who was very much exposed against a bad Green Bay team last year.
Right.
But anyway, I think that'll do for Arizona. I went on for a little too long, but Bill, I have news to mention for you that you won't like to hear. You have a new team to hate that is a team I also hate. Do you know why, or do you know who I'm talking about? We have head coaching news to mention. First, that's actually... Do you want to talk the one to hate? You want to have your new scapegoat, or do you want to talk about the Lions first with their coach situation?
I'll talk a little quickly about the Lions situation. So we're keeping Jim Caldwell. Bob Quinn announced that, and to be honest, I'm kind of glad that we waited a year. It's sort of Caldwell knows that he's on a year contract, and if he doesn't perform, he's out the door, and it gives him incentive to win, and this is the year you need to win because you're on a year deal, and you've got a favorable schedule coming up. But that's really all I want to say.
By favorable, you mean they get to play the scrubs in the AFC South, right?
Really, the only defense that scares me is the Houston Texans. Yes.
Okay, Bill, I'll be honest. I want two games next year to be on Sunday Night Football that involves these two divisions. Packers Colts because it'll be the best shootout ever. I want it to be. I want a college level type of shootout, like 70-60. No defense, just nothing but touchdowns.
Right.
And anyway, the other game, Colts and Detroit. Why? Caldwell plays his former team, and I want him to have the biggest chip on his shoulder and knock them on their asses.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I'm glad, but let's be real. Everyone's just glad, like, hey, hooray, Jim Bob Cooter staying.
Exactly.
That's what we're. That's how we are all like Jim Bob Cooter, the savior. Caldwell is like, I don't even know what I can't think of a proper thing to describe him. He's the front, but without that, you can't do anything. You can't keep.
He's the placeholder.
Yeah, but it's really we're all glad Cooter's staying, because if any other coach got up there, it would not be him. He would not be there.
Exactly.
But Bill,
right. So
The bad news, you have a new team to hate.
Oh God.
Oh boy. Okay, so first let's get the main one for them. The Philadelphia Eagles got their coach. Oh, and the Titans got Mike
Okay.
Mularkey as their head coach still. They're keeping him, and I'm just laughing. But I'm like, okay, you know what? Fine. Give them bad coaches, so that way they just never have a chance to go above, at best, 4-12. They'll never go past that number. Because
Right.
I know you believe in Marcus Mariota, Bill, but without good talent and without them seriously getting him a good coach, he's not gonna, turn this. He's not gonna. He can't save this team. I don't even think Brady or Rodgers could save this team, let alone Mariota. So it's no offense on the guy, but anyway,
Right.
the Eagles, they have a new head coach, Doug
Ooh.
Peterson. Do you know who that is? Because I don't know who that is.
I think he's what, the offensive coordinator for Kansas City or something.
I think so. All right. So he's there. I don't know what to expect from him, but honestly, they're going to probably do something akin to waste the clock, which I hope some team turns against them just to haunt him. But Bill, the defensive coordinator, we have a candidate apparently. And if it
Oh
happens,
God.
if it happens,
Oh no.
you know who I'm talking
No.
about, aren't you? Who am I talking about? He has returned.
Schwartz.
What, Bill?
No. Jim Schwartz.
He's a candidate. He's in Philly as we speak. He's already interviewed
No.
with the Jaguars, and he could be an Eagles guy. This is according to Rap Sheet. He tweeted this just over an hour ago, or literally before we started recording this.
Oh my God.
Bill, who's gonna be in a worse situation? You or no, me or you? He's gonna be in the If he's in the NFC, you probably have to play the Eagles again. In fact, I think you are.
I sort of want him to go on to the Jaguars. So that way, when Detroit destroys the Jaguars next year, we can just hold up a plastic dummy of Jim Schwartz and carry it off the field.
You know what they should do? Carry like Jim Bob Cooter off the field.
Be- yes. I mean, seriously, get that. Jim Schwartz is a piece of crap.
Actually, Bill, you can check your schedule now for not semester, next year. They don't have like what day you're going, but they'll tell you which your home games are and your away games are. I'm gonna go check the Detroit Lions
I'm
one.
gonna, I'm gonna wait on that.
No, because I want to know. I want if he does go to Jacksonville, I want him to go to Detroit. I want it to be a home game, so you could humiliate him at Detroit, where all the fans will be cheering for Detroit and shaming him. It feels right.
Exactly.
It feels right, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
But yeah, so he's either going to be a Jaguars defensive coordinator with Gus Bradley, which feels like a mixed bag because you have a nice coach there.
With
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 what?
basically a thug for a defensive coordinator that will turn his defense into a thug defense.
And yeah, or you have a ravaged Eagles team, which I don't even know if they could be saved in a year. It would take at least 2 years for them to start recuperating from the just a Chip Kelly ravaged team. And you let him have his way. You let so many of your key players just go.
Yeah, Deshaun Jackson's gone. LaShawn McCoy's gone. Everyone and their brother's gone.
Yeah. Just for what? Sam Bradford?
Sam Bradford, who's be cut or let go after this year because that was the last year on his deal.
Yeah.
I mean, literally all you have is DeMarco Murray.
Okay, I am checking. Oh, you are! Phil, if he goes to Jacksonville, you are going to host them. Oh, boy. That's going to be...
I want it week 1. I want Jacksonville to come to Detroit and we just bury him.
Oh, and guess what? If he goes to Philadelphia, you get him either way. They're gonna come back to Phil. They're gonna come back to Detroit. Bill, it matters not where he goes. He's a dead man. But if he's in Philadelphia, you're more likely gonna play him more. So congrats, Bill. You have double the chances to extract your revengeance on him.
No matter where he goes, if he goes to either of those two places, his damn team is ours, and we're gonna make it our bitch.
Oh God. Okay, but Bill, I'm just gonna say, if he goes to Jacksonville, I know no matter who's that quarterback, it could be some smug off the street or some scrub off the street. You're gonna pick Houston over Jacksonville. I just know it.
I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna pick everyone over Jacksonville if he goes to Jacksonville. Just saying.
Oh boy, that'll be fun. Poor Blake Bortles. Poor Blake Bortles. But anyway. Yeah, so either way, Jim Schwartz is in for a rude awakening. It's going to be fun. Alright, Bill. That was a lot of fun. So now let's get to the best part. The final games of the playoffs. And then we have the Super Bowl. So for now, Bill, call off the conference games.
The NFC title game. Or the AFC title game, I mean, which is the 3 o'clock game, which is the New England Patriots at the Denver Broncos.
This game was going to be good, but I have the Patriots. I believe the Patriots will dissect the Denver defense long enough to keep a big enough lead to prevent Peyton from catching up. I have no doubt Denver's offense is going to do some work, and it's going to do some damage. But if the Patriots just get a big enough lead, they could basically hold them off like Carolina was forced to do against all the games they've barely won. I've got New England taking this from Denver.
That New England Patriots loss earlier on in the season against the Denver Broncos is the perfect time to lose. It's the perfect opponent to lose to because they have a good defense. They know what that defense did to them. And they're going to know that the Broncos are not going to do the same thing, so you can plan around that. So here's the thing. I have the Patriots winning. They have Gronk. They have Edelman. They have Amendola. And they have Steven Jackson. I think the Patriots are going to attempt to run the football all over the Broncos.
Wow.
That is a gut feeling, but
last thing,
continue. I just think it's going to be the Patriots.
Last thing, this is likely the last Brady v. Manning, so I would like for it to go spectacularly, but I just want the Patriots to win. But even if Peyton were to win this final one, at the end of the day, Brady has won much more than Manning has. I think Manning's only won 5 out of the past 16. So at best he could go 6, and at worst he's just got 5. So
of the last 3, Manning is 2-1.
He's 2-1. Wow. Oh wait, yeah, that's right. There was the playoff one he won. I forgot about that before he got destroyed by the Seattle Seahawks, pummeled.
Yep.
But that was just bad timing. So yeah, you're right, Bill. You cannot beat the Patriots twice in the same year. They will make you regret it. Do not. Oh, fun fact. This happened after we recorded last week, but when Belichick went to a press conference, he had a black eye. He won't say what happened. And I'm like, uh-oh, he got in a fight. He's in a fighting mood. He's gonna go beat the shit out of anyone who gets in his way. So now I'm hoping he still has that feisty mood for the next month, so he can just punish Denver and whoever wins the NFC title game. Let's get to that, Bill.
Here's the NFC title game. It is the Arizona Cardinals at the Carolina Panthers.
I have Arizona. I've been banking on this team for so long, and it feels more right than the Panthers. And I mean no disrespect to Carolina and their fans, but I feel Arizona should have gone the Super Bowl last year. They've proved that they deserve to go this year just as much as Carolina, but I think because they're the perfect team out of all of these 4 teams, because they have a balanced offensive attack that can make explosive plays that you cannot recover from, and their defense is enough even when they say, oh, they have to blitz on defense, sometimes they don't even need to. They can still generate some turnovers. They can still put pressure on the quarterback. and they have some. They have, I think, the best secondary player in Patrick Peterson. And what? They're probably going to put him on Greg Olson, so that's one big threat out of the way. And Ted Ginn Jr., who knows if he's playing. So I have the Cardinals winning a great game. This game's the better one of the two, honestly, and I think it'll go by great, hopefully.
And I also have the Cardinals defeating the Panthers. I feel like this is going to be the Cardinals throwing the football all over the Panthers, and really they're not going to throw it at Norman. They're going to throw it at his counterpart. Obviously, the Panthers' defense is legit, but so is the Cardinals' defense. I think the Cardinals' offense is just way better than the Panthers'
I'll be
offense.
honest.
And
I
so
think they're
that,
parallels. The Cardinals have the better secondary, in my opinion, but I think the Panthers have the better front line. However,
yeah,
there's one other thing to note. Jared Allen, the one they got, their veteran guy, who's done some good stuff, is also hurt. Unsure whether he'll play. They had some injuries in the last game, and those injuries may or may not be a deciding factor. So who knows?
I mean, it's hard for me to pick against one of my favorite linebackers in Luke Kuechly, but I gotta do it. It's the Cardinals. Their offense is just better.
I agree. I love the balanced attack. Anyway, so yeah, I think that will do it for this week. We will see you guys in the break, the Pro Bowl week. We'll probably pick a game for that when we find out whoever they draft, because they will have the Pro Bowl draft. Sad thing though, Watt won't be playing because I believe he's had surgery on his in the groin area. So
Yep.
I'm hoping he'll be fine because that guy's been, he's always he's had the motor. He hasn't ever really gotten hurt, and I hope it doesn't become a persistent thing. Because I don't want another Arian Foster. Nothing against him either, but yes. All right, Bill. Have anything else to say? Do you?
Nope. It should be a fun week.
All right, then we will see you guys next week.